So a bit of a I'm going to change the topics a lot. I'm going to just pick what I feel like sort of on the day. And I think the big one today that I've seen is Newcastle. A big article saying, oh, Newcastle struggling on Sky Sports. It's something that's been spoke about. I've seen like Rory Jennings mention it, I've seen Talksport do it. I've seen a lot of different personalities asking if Newcastle are struggling at the moment, where they think they're going to end up this season, how it's going so far. And I'm obliged to agree with, yes, they are struggling. I mean, their business this summer has particularly helped that. And I mean, the games they've played so far, either have really helped. So Newcastle so far this season, they've only picked up 3 points, I believe it is, and the win against Aston Villa, the 5-1 victory, which is a bit of a red herring, if we're being honest. I think a lot of people saw that and thought, they're going to go on, they're going to beat everyone, they're going to smash every team, they're going to get top four again, they're going to compete for the title, and they lose 3 in a row. The City game was always going to be difficult. If anything, they kept City to a 1-0 win. I think it was a Julian Alvarez scoring, which isn't bad. 1-0 loss to City is quite considered a good result nowadays. The smash and grab from Liverpool, the 2-1 victory. I was watching that one. My God, you can make the case that they were maybe robbed for that, but they didn't have the killer instinct to score when we were down to 10 for 70 plus minutes. They were 1-0 up until the 76th minute, and they had the chance then to end the game, and they didn't. And then they lost to Brighton in what I think is the worst result. Just the way they lost. There's no energy. There was no tenacity in the field. They've really struggled, and their struggles look like they're just going to carry on this season. Really, it stems down to a bunch of stuff. They've not bought well enough this summer. That's definitely a big factor. They needed more depth, especially at the back. It reminds me a lot of when Liverpool in the 17-18 season, we had Salah, Van Dijk half the season, and Mane. But if one of them gets injured, the whole season just goes to crap. It's the same thing with Newcastle. Sven Botman is injured at the moment, and it showed against Brighton in the Brighton game. Alexander Isak, if he's not playing, Callum Wilson's good, but he's not as good as Isak. And there's not enough depth and ability in that squad. I don't think not enough killers. I saw that on the kickoff, and Fujoli was saying, look, there's not enough killers in the team. There's not enough people who get forward and just can snatch and grab, who can score goals, who get at the opponent's defence. And I agree. Isak's good on the ball. He's a great goal scorer, but he's not gonna. I've not seen him yet sort of pull them out of the depths when they've really been struggling. And you go through the players they've signed so far this summer. Other players they signed the window have gone. Sandro Tonali, 55 million, great player. That was considered a sign of the summer by loads of people. I have to admit, I was one of them at one point, and I think he's done well so far, but he did struggle in that Brighton game. Harvey Barnes doesn't play. What was the point? Tino Livramento, one for the future, for 36 million. Lewis Hall, the loan with an obligation to buy of around, I think it was 30 million, 30 or 50. I can't remember which, but players for the future there. And there's nothing, if you're looking at those players they've signed, only Tonali is the only one who's actually breaking into the team regularly. Harvey Barnes isn't even starting over Almiron, which I just baffled me, if we're being completely honest. And I think the big reason Newcastle are struggling is their defence. But one of the big reasons is because of their defence. They've Trippier's extended, but take him out of the team. Botman's out of the team at the moment with injury. And then you've got Fabian Schär. Eventually, you're going to get to a point where James Lascelles is having to play and you're a Champions League club. There's not nowhere near enough that there needs to be more players. You're telling me for the money that they spent on Lewis Hall, for example, they couldn't have bought a centre back for that price. There wasn't a centre back available. I for a Champions League team who everyone can see the trajectory, the money that's going into the club, the position they are currently, the fact that they're in the Champions League with some of these players, like Tonali now, like Isak, like Sven Botman. You're telling me not a single defender would have went to. I have that. I have that. No, no one was cheap. No one was affordable. No. Well, it is what it is, and they didn't recruit brilliantly. It has to be said. Now, another thing as well that I've heard a lot of people criticise is Eddie Howe, and I think Eddie Howe. I've said it from day one. He's never felt like the manager who's going to take them to where they need to be now and go further. It feels like he's just a manager to sort of build them to that point, and then someone else comes in and takes over. And that's what he's done, but he's done it in such a short space of time that people are thinking, oh my God, he's the one to carry on. He's the one who's going to take us further and win us trophies and win us the league. And he's a good manager. We saw that at Bournemouth, not so much at Burnley, but in the time at Bournemouth, he was linked with Arsenal, he was linked with England, I think he was linked to Man United at one point. He's now at Newcastle, where the expectation was just, slowly creep our way up, sign players, progress up the table. No, first season top four. So now all the expectations too high. He can't possibly live up to that height because they've not signed the players that they need to progress further, especially not to compete in four competitions, which is something that Newcastle haven't done for a long time. They're in Europe now. They're in Champions League. They've got PSG, Dortmund, and AC Milan in their group. Clearly, they don't have the squad to do it. These players are going to have burnout before we're even halfway through the season because they're going to be giving it all in the Champions League because who knows when they're going to get there again the way they're going. They're going to try and win a trophy. They made the cup final last season, so they're probably going to go for that again. The league, they need to get top four, so they're going to be playing a lot of football. And the way it's looking, Pope's going to start every game. Tonali's going to start every game. Trippier's going to start every game unless Livramento starts getting into the squad, which they haven't really yet. There's just not enough depth. And I keep saying it, and it's because it's true. And I know Newcastle fans are sort of and ahhing, Eddie Howe deserves time, he deserves time. But say they lose to Brentford today, they're then on a bad reform going into the Champions League against AC Milan, who were semi-finalists last season, and they're away from home at the San Siro. You could see a defeat there. Okay, so that's another defeat. They've then got Sheffield United. A game they should be winning. A game you think, okay, 3 points, not a problem, easy. But then what if that result goes wrong? Then suddenly you're in a situation where in the space of a few weeks, you've got Man City, you've got PSG, you've got Crystal Palace, West Ham, not easy fixtures. And it gets you thinking, is Eddie Howe's job safe, really? He's been backed, but this is the first time we're seeing him with money. Because at Bournemouth, it was, he bought the odd player, Jordan Ibe, it's a fair bit of money. Dominic Solanke cost a little bit of money as well. This is the first time they've said, right, you get what you want. And this is the first summer that's happened. And in the first 4 games, he's lost 3. So maybe he's out of his depth a little bit. Maybe there is truth to this. Maybe that Newcastle fans are right in what they're saying. Maybe given time, see how it goes. For me, I think definitely given time. I think you have to with a project like this, but who's to say that the Newcastle owners aren't going to be similar to Abramovich or Todd Bowley, where it's, no, we want success now. We put this much money in the club. You win us stuff straight away, or you're gone. And who's to say that Eddie Howe isn't going to get removed from his position and someone else is coming in? Nagelsmann's available. Conte's available. There's so many big managers available at the moment who could elevate the club. And if Eddie Howe isn't careful, he's just going to be another one who gets the chop. And it'd be sad to see, because it's nice to see him in a job where he's being respected and he's able to make real change to the squad. It's nice, he deserves it. But the recruitment's been poor. The start of the season's been poor. some of the personnel they've got at the squad as well. Isaac Hayden, I think, is still there. Nick Pope is another one. Longstaff, Joe Willett, Almiron. There's still players there that you just think, why they're not going to help you? And he continues to start Almiron, which is something, and you know, it baffles my head. So he's not helping himself with some of his decisions, definitely. And are the wheels starting to fall off a little bit? I think it's a bit too soon to tell, really. If you think about it, he hasn't been there 2 years. He came halfway through the season last time, took over from Steve Bruce, they survived relegation. Then they had that amazing season last season, and then we've just started this season. So he's still about 2 years in. Give him a bit of time, but they need to get results going soon. And I think they need to start with Brentford, which isn't going to be an easy game. If I was looking at that and giving my prediction, it's a tricky one. I think given Newcastle's defence, I'd actually go for a loss. I think I think a 3-1 loss. Actually, I'm sticking with the Brighton score. I think Mbuemo and Wissa are going to cause problems for Newcastle's back line. And I think they will get a goal back. It'll probably be Callum Wilson more than anything. He'll come off the bench and score, similar to the Brighton game. But, they need to get results going. And I just don't see today being the day to do it. So we'll have to wait and see. Thank you for watching, and I will see you